That's the biggest thing at the end of the day. I think is if you don't like doing it, you're not going to do it very long, you know. Same thing applies with exercise. You know, if you go in and you dread it, you're never going to want to stick with it, you know. So got to make it fun, got to make it engaging. Difference always good.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to Hawaii Real, everybody. I'm your host, Iokepa, and I'd like to send a shout out to our beverage host, Hawaiian Springs Water. Thank you so much for this. And this episode is brought to you by the Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce. The Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce's mission is to malama Native Hawaiians in business and commerce through leadership, relationships, and connections to economic resources and opportunities. The Chamber's programs and events are designed to facilitate connections and promote business growth, professional and economic development, and sustainability. The Chamber's membership is open to individuals, nonprofit organizations, and businesses of all sizes. To learn more about the Chamber and how you can join, visit the website www.nativehawaiianchamberofcommerce.org. And I have a wonderful guest here, very inspirational young man, Iokepa Bahilot. Did I say it right?
You got it perfect.
I got it perfect.
Perfect.
It's not perfect.
It's close. It's close.
But I got the first name right. Iokepa.
First name right.
It's Joseph?
Joseph
in Hawaiian. I like that because everybody always asks me, what does Ioane mean? It's like, oh, it's John. Yeah. John the Baptist. Oh, it doesn't mean like, something special. It's like, that is kind of special.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez. But you are the owner of Elite Fitness Hawaii. Correct. A new gym coming out. And you've been in business since 2017, you said?
Yeah, that's kind of when we first, I'd say, on the business side, developed it and got all the licenses going. You know, we didn't really commit to it until about 2019, though.
Yeah, but what sparked my interest also, the Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce, you just joined them and they kind of threw you at me. I was like, hey, be on this show. And it's so great for that aspect and to have the Native Hawaiians coming together and forming this Chamber of Commerce. So I always advise and suggest to Native Hawaiian business owners, join the Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce. It's at nativehawaiianchamberofcommerce.org, and individuals can sign up for that and businesses as well. So thank you so much for doing that and joining.
Appreciate it.
Power to the people, man.
Exactly.
But you went to Damien.
Correct.
Nobody's perfect. That's okay. Nah, all the Damien guys, you good. You good. I got some big Kaipo. I love you, Kaipo. But so you're a young man and you're a business owner already, which is fantastic and fabulous, especially for someone in his 40s who's kind of, I've dabbled in, I worked for the city and never thought that I would be a business owner until much later in my life. And then I became a business owner and I was like, wow, this is cool. I'm like this boss man kind of thing.
It is nice, the freedom, for sure.
It is nice, the freedom. So how did you go about starting your business? And is there a big mindset that you went through when you're trying to start that?
So how did we start? That's kind of interesting. So I got into personal training in 2011 is when I first started doing this. I worked for, 24-Hour Fitness. I started through another company. I was there for maybe 5 years. And at that point, with personal training, there's not really a lot of places to go. It's either you're a personal trainer or you're a business owner, honestly, So for me, I think inevitably the next step was to try and, go out and do this on my own. I think I just kind of fell into it that way. I like the personal training aspect and I always, enjoyed the training. But for me, learning the business side and getting into that has been new and challenging and fun at the same time.
Well, what pushed you to go out on your own and create a business for yourself if you're doing this for 24-Hour Fitness?
I think number one was just like, seeing what I was offering and contributing, and then figuring out what I was getting paid for my worth wasn't really adding up to me.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, so for me, I think that was kind of one of my reasons for it. And then two, I honestly enjoy the freedom of being kind of my own boss. I think for me, that is the number one driving factor. I like helping people and I like being able to do things on my time, So for me, the movement and the freedom to do things on my own at my own pace and when I wanted to do them was a big driving factor. Yeah, I think that was the start of it for sure.
So it's like just having that freedom, that business freedom where you can do what you want to do in the direction of the business. Partially,
yes. And I don't like, it's too mundane for me to be like, hey, I do this every day. I wake up and I go to work at 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. That just didn't fit kind of what I was looking for, you know. And at a certain point, you know, a lot of people either, you know, say, hey, this is it, and this is what I'm going to kind of do, and it's going to be, it is what it is, and accept it. Or, you know, you can go out and try to do something different and create something and see what comes out of it. You know, I mean, worst case scenario, if I go back to work and I get a 9-to-5 job, I mean, you know, unfortunately, my worst case scenario is most people's everyday lives, you know? So for me, I think the challenging part is also the biggest drive for me. I like this, you know, I like being challenged. I like being pushed to new boundaries. I need to go do things that are outside of my comfort zone in order for me to grow. You know, if I just am kind of content, I'll sit there and I'll be complacent. So I need something to push me out of my comfort zone, really.
Now, do you think that's normal for people to have, or is that something specific to you and unique to you and certain other people that have gone down the same path in terms of leaving the corporate world where you get paycheck to paycheck and you go off and risk everything to just start your own thing?
I think it takes a certain type of person who's willing to go out and fail miserably and kind of pick up the pieces and keep moving forward, you know? Because it's not always going to work out the way you want. You know what I mean? It's not going to be as easy as, you know, I'm just going to go out and do this and I'm going to get a bunch of customers and people, you know, it's challenging, you know? I think you have to be resilient, number one. You have to have a really driving desire to want to do something. You know, if you don't have a desire to do something, you're going to have a hard time sticking to it in the long run, you know? So, yeah, for me, I think seeing also, you know, other members in my family go out and do this, you know, with maybe even less opportunity than I have, was a big driving factor, and seeing what could actually be done, you know?
Oh, so you have family members that have gone the entrepreneurial route?
Yeah. So I have my dad who has his own little, you know, business. He does the handyman work and some light construction stuff. And then I have a brother who has, you know, his own business as well. It's called Empire Towing. So yeah, I mean, I think seeing them go out and do stuff too gave me, you know, hey, this is not as bad as everybody make it seems.
Boost right there when your family members already do it.
Yeah, you know, my dad it wasn't until recently, I think, until he started kind of getting into his own thing and going away from that. But yeah, you know, seeing my dad and my brother do it is obviously giving me definitely a leap ahead per se.
Wait, so your dad wasn't always a handyman?
No, my dad used to do moving. He's done a lot of jobs, but he's moving and a truck driver for a long time in his life, you know. And I think that was the biggest thing. You know, I see my dad work really hard growing up. You know, he was away, you know, before I woke up in the morning, he was coming home when the lights were going off. You know, it was seeing that work ethic, I think, helped me to kind of shape, you know, my path. You know, I definitely seen his work ethic, and I think that's one thing I'm really thankful for seeing, I guess, you know, how hard he had to work to get to where he was, and then being able to say, hey, you know, I'm going to go out and try to do this on my own, you know. So I don't know. For me, I guess seeing my dad, how hard he worked, was a big driving factor.
Did you feel the same way when you were a kid growing up and you said your dad was gone before you woke up and he came back around dinner time and stuff like that? Did that have a big impact?
No, not really. I mean, he was there. That wasn't, you know, like end all be all, you know. It was periods where he worked really, really long, you know, and then there was times where he was off and he was helping me with baseball practice and basketball and, you know, being dad. So it was definitely a balance, you know, but he's a very hardworking person, and I can definitely, you know, see the value in how hard he worked, you know.
Just being a super great role model for you and your brother. Yeah,
to some degree, for sure. I'd say my dad definitely helped shape, you know, my perspective. I mean, he's the one who's like, hey, go do this, man, do it. You know, you only get one chance to do this and that, you know. So I think for me, having kind of that back, saying, hey, just try it, man. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, you know. But he's always given me that kind of like, hey, man, you can make it work out, you know, in the end. So
that's super impressive from my point of view. It's like, no, I mean, if you have that kind of parental and family support, especially to go off and do your own thing, and to some extent where it's almost normalized to do those or take those kind of risks, it makes it all so much easier.
Sure.
And I wish so many more friends, families, parents out there can, you know, see that value and impart that on their children to, you know, no, you don't have to just grow up and get great grades in school and go off and become, go off and work for a great company. It's like, no, that's not the be all end all. And not everybody's meant to do that.
Exactly.
I mean, and on that note, we talked about off camera how you went to Damien, and then after that you went off to college.
I did.
But you didn't finish.
Did not finish. I was there probably for, I can't remember, to be honest. It was either a year and a half or 2 years. I didn't make it through one of the years either way.
Just wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me, you know. Academically, I wasn't doing well. School wasn't for me, you know. It was hard to learn things that I wasn't interested in, you know. I think so. Yeah. I mean, how do you judge someone off your work ethic when it's, you know, something you don't enjoy doing? You know, it's like I don't have a passion for being in school, and it just kind of didn't make sense to me. It just didn't feel right.
Someone's like, if you don't know why, or for me personally, if I don't know why I'm learning something in school, I can't apply myself. But if I know why the subject, or I'm passionate about it, or I'm interested in it, it's so much easier to learn. I can dive into it. But I get to classes like, you know, high level algebra and calculus. I'm not going to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not going to want to learn it, and therefore I'm not going to remember it. I'm not going to want. It's just time. It's kind of a waste.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a big waste of time. But then, like in high school, having video productions, I dove into that. I was like, yes, I love doing this. I see the value in making videos for other people to watch. And well, look, here I am 30 years later.
It's a passion.
Yeah. So I can see the value in that kind of stuff. But a lot of stuff in school and college, I just kind of went through the motions and just did 100%. It because I wanted the degree. And that was, to me at the time, that was like the be all end all, and then get a good job and go from there. It's
not so guaranteed anymore. You know,
it's not at all.
That's the thing. You can have as much education and degrees as you want. It's how do you apply that into, you know, real space? And that's the challenging part. You know, it's when you're stuck learning one thing specifically and you don't find a way to apply yourself. It's like, well, you either got to pivot or die. You know, so. And I definitely think that's interesting. Yeah, school. I wouldn't say school's for everybody. You know, if you want to be a doctor, a nurse, you know, engineer, definitely got to go to school. If you want to be a business owner, I don't think it's 100% necessary.
Mm-hmm. It's not to be confused with education.
No, not at all.
So, what are your thoughts on that? The difference between schooling and education.
I mean, now on my own time, you know, I read a lot. You know, I look through all the books that, you know, apply with my field and my, you know, fitness and health. You know, that's what interests me. Mindset, philosophy stuff. You know, I like learning that stuff. You know, it's natural. It's more natural for me. I don't feel like I'm forcing myself to be there and sit through it, you know? So I think you have to enjoy what you do, or else you're not going to last for a while, you know?
What's a great book you've read recently?
That's a great book. The Power of Less, Leo Babauta. I think that's his name. That's an interesting. I like all these like 10X, Grant Cardone kind of stuff. Oh, you know, like the 7 Atomic Habits of people. What is it? 7 Atomic Habits of something people. But I like all those mindset books. You know, things that get you to think outside the box and a little bit more creatively. And you know, because if you're stuck thinking, hey, you know, especially in Hawaii, it's like you're gonna go to work, you're gonna make this much every month. You know, people just that's because that's what all we think we can do. You know, if you have somebody, you know, who's a role model, who's doing certain things that you don't think are possible, you know, it gives you an opportunity to say, hey, maybe I can actually go out and do something along these lines, you know?
Is there a place and time in your life when you encountered something that you had to think outside the box and that kind of deviated the normal train of thinking inside the box, and you went outside the box and were successful?
I mean, I guess going out on my own, doing the business venture is definitely something, you know, that I would say along those lines. It's just, you know, would I ever think I would own a business? You know, probably not. You know, did it come out of necessity? I think so, you know, in part, you know.
So like necessity, what was your necessity?
To be able to help more people, you know, to be able to reach more people, to be able to get to more people. You know, working at the job I was limited to what I could do creatively. You know, it was kind of show up, do this, you know, train for this hour, do that, and you're kind of out. You know, you clock in and clock out. You know, now I have a little bit more creativity where I can do things I want. You know, I can change kind of the norm of how things are done and maybe do things a little differently, you know. So I think that I like that part as well, you know. I'm not just stuck to this, hey, come in, you're gonna do this for an hour. That's that, you know.
So even with the workouts and stuff, you're thinking outside the box?
So we do a lot more group stuff. So that's what we do. Our primary focus is a lot of what we call ultimate transformation challenges. You know, they're usually 12 weeks, 6 month, and 1 year challenges. And And in those, if you're committing to 12 weeks, we're looking for obviously a certain type of person, right? You have to, in order to do this, you're putting skin in the game. You have to want to have this change, So we go through, we do a lot of coaching with the exercise, obviously the nutrition, the accountability. And then I think a lot of it is just trying to get people to understand, growth doesn't happen in 1 month. People come to us and they assume, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be perfectly off in 2 or 3 months. I'm like, dude, if you've been feeling, like crap, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years, do you really think you're going to make this massive change in 1 month? So I think helping people be realistic, yet, setting achievable and goals that kind of push you is important. But educating people on like the mindset, being coachable, coming into us and, trying different things, you've come to us for a reason, right? It always blows my mind when people come to me and then they don't want our help or they don't take the advice that we give them. I'm like, why do you come? You know what I mean? Like the whole point of being here is kind of to change not only your physical, but the mental side too. And I think that's the hardest part for most people is we just live in this like body dysmorphia. We see ourselves differently than everybody else sees us. We're always too skinny. We're always too fat. We're always too, that's the hard part. We take in too much from everything else, and we've absorbed it like a sponge, or you don't, and you kind of say, well, it is what it is. And I'm going to keep doing my thing, So yeah, I think the mindset thing, getting people to like, when they're coming to us for 12, 6 months to a year, you're committing to some change. You know what I mean? You're not like expecting this to happen in 1 month, So it's definitely a different experience of like, rather than just saying, hey, I'll see you on Monday and Thursday, then figure it out from there. You know what I mean?
Because that's just going through the motions.
Yeah, kind of, so that's kind of what we're trying to push more towards is like those ultimate transformation challenges in groups. And it's fun, people like being around other people. It's more social. There's group accountability as well. So there's different dynamics.
Okay. Talk to me about body dysmorphia. What the heck? That's the first time I've heard that term.
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of your perception of, you're always going to see, your body differently than everybody else, right? Whether you think you're skinny, fat, it's, a lot of it is kind of how we perceive ourselves.
Oh, like
right?
I see myself with a lot less hair. But then my kids remind me, it's like, no, Dad, you don't really have hair. So that's kind of true. So I don't know.
Yeah, but just making sure we're not falling, into those, those perceptions of what other people, think we should or shouldn't look like, I like another good quote, which is like, exercise is a celebration of what your, body can do, not a punishment for what you ate. A lot of people associate exercise with, oh, I did this, so now this equals this. We kind of got to get people out of that mindset of just associating them together and understanding that there's a holistic, total approach to everything. And it's not going to be as easy as, clicking on one thing and then getting it at your door in one day. It's going to take time and effort and resiliency and discipline, kind of above everything, really. So
what do you tell the listeners today with regards to wanting to join your guys' club and stuff like that? And what kind of expectations are they supposed to have? So
before we actually even bring people in, we do an initial, screening. We have you actually fill out an application. We have you go through a phone consult. And then if you get through those two, then we'll kind of bring you in for a consultation in person, Those first two steps, if you're not serious and committed, you're not going to get to the in-person consultation, So that already weans out type of people that are not going to, necessarily best fit our groups, right? Because if you are doing this, we're looking for a certain type of person. We're looking for a certain type of person who desires that kind of change. You have to have that driving factor, whether it's, I don't know, people always say, I want to lose weight, but then it comes down to like, what is a deeper thing? Is it, do you want to stay in shape and, play with your kids and be more active, or, what? So kind of figuring out for people, what is the deeper, like, why are you doing this? What is your driving factor? Because when times get tough and you want to quit, that only thing that's going to keep you really going is your why, So for your kids, are you going to stop because you're tired now? Or you don't feel like doing this, So your driving factor has to be bigger than anything, really,
So does that business model work well for you guys? Because you're not taking on all customers. You're picking and choosing customers.
Yes. I mean, I think it can hurt you or it can be beneficial to you, For us, I think it's more beneficial because we get people who are more committed and serious,
I mean, it is elite.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That means you don't take everybody. Sorry.
No, if you want the help and you are willing to accept, and be open to coaching, we are willing to help anybody, But yeah, I think that works better for us because we get people who are more committed to the long term. They're not looking for the in and out kind of deal.
And then the other part of the business model is holding accountable or
Exactly.
holding the customers accountable. So how do you guys go about doing that?
So, so that's the most challenging part, because when we initially get people, everybody's in these, super motivated states, right? They say they're going to do this, that, and then that motivation kind of fleets after a while, So having things like maybe small monthly check-ins, assessments, getting a little bit more time to do maybe some nutrition, going over some nutrition, and just being honestly available to them. I always tell my clients, if you have questions, ask me. I can't help you if you don't ask me. We'll give you all the tools in the toolbox you need to be successful, but we can't do it for you at the end of the day, So I think that's the challenging part, and we're still figuring it out as we go. There's things that work well, and there's things that don't. People don't want to do certain things. As much as I could get everybody to do everything. Get to their goal weights and lose this and that and be fit. If I could get all their exercise accounts, all their nutrition logs, and be like, bam, this is it. There's kind of this scientific approach, but you're dealing with people. People have emotions. People don't always want to do certain things. So you have to figure out how to be flexible with people. Everybody's different.
I mean, that's job security right there. I mean, if people just did that, we wouldn't have jobs. Like if people obeyed the law, I wouldn't have a job, right? It's like
that's very true.
But I like you listen to David Goggins.
Yes,
he's awesome. I like how you're talking about motivation, but he's also discipline. Because even though you're talking about motivation and some of what you were saying, it's discipline, holding these people accountable and having the discipline to continue
exactly.
and to do the hard things and to quote unquote go to the gym when you don't feel like going to the gym. The days that you absolutely don't want to go to the gym, that's the days you got to go.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the mental part plays a big part of it. I mean, that's everything really. I always tell people, get through the door. If you can get through the door, we got you from there. You know what I mean? That's the hardest part, is just getting through those two doors. We do all the exercise stuff. We write the programs for you. We write the workouts. You just got to show up, and then from there, we just try to make sure we're bringing the energy, keeping people accountable, and just getting people moving, and getting the best workout they can get in that time being with us, Other than that, they always have access to us, whether it's text, call.
Wow.
So, and it's not like where people are like, hey, I'm going to do it every 5-10 minutes, but if you have questions, reach out,
But do you get those at like 2 a.m.?
No, not at all. I turn my phone on silent from like 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I don't get any phone calls regardless. That's my cutoff.
So I know you were given over by, you were referred to us by the Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce. And I kind of want to ask, do you see any differences with the Native Hawaiian community in regards to your business and getting exercise and getting healthy?
That's a good question. So that's the challenging part for us, because we are a business and we have to make money to stay in business. And as much as we'd like to help every single person, with this going on right now, it's just not possible, So for our long-term goal, I want to get more into, things that are low level costs, that are low level entry to enter, low barrier costs, so that people can get involved, because it is kind of right now, it is challenging for Native Hawaiians and people from Hawaii in general to get access to health and fitness. It's not cheap. It's not like you have this extra money laying around for a personal trainer each month. Although, it probably is important to invest into your health, to some degree. I like that quote that goes, everybody, we kind of trade our time, what is it? Time for wealth. Or excuse me, our health for wealth all of our life. And then at the end of our lives, we're stuck changing, trying to get back our health with all of our wealth, right? So it's kind of like, what do you prioritize? Do you prioritize kind of the short term, here's what I need to get now? Or do you, prefer the long term?
We're playing the long game.
Yeah.
Especially with business. If you try to rush your business goals, you're more likely to fail. Whereas if you set up a good foundation in your business, and you guys have probably done that already since you've been in business since 2017, and most businesses fail within the first 5 years, right?
So
And beyond that,
yeah, true. So 2017, I was actually still working full time and then doing this on the side part time. Even up until 2018, it was still kind of part time. And then 2019, it was just kind of like all or nothing, really. I think pulling the rug out from under us was really, having that, doing it on the side was comfortable, and I still had my day job, my regular 40 hours training. So it wasn't like pushing me to get the business going. As soon as the rug moved out from under me, then I was like, well, now you have no choice.
So what was that rug?
Just the security of having that job, like having my full-time personal training gig. It was like, I know I could always expect a paycheck every blank weeks. So once that was through, I had made sure I had saved up just enough for a few months. I found somewhere which gave me a great opportunity to start training at somebody else's facility and just pay, a portion of the rent. So I think starting from there, starting slowly, being able to have access to those kinds of spaces definitely gave me an opportunity to grow into it, rather than having to just go all or nothing and not know if it works. I could slowly inch my way into it.
So, well, what I mean, like, what was pulling the rug out from under you? Did you get like fired or terminated from there, and that forced you into that role?
No, I think it was just, I was kind of over it, Okay. I think I was just kind of, it just wasn't making me per se happy anymore. It wasn't something I looked forward to going to every day. It was just kind of mundane. As I woke up at blank every day, I had a break from this time to this time, and then I went and did this from this time to this time, and then just not, it wasn't a diss to, any former employer or boss, but it was just, I wasn't happy at where I was at over the last 3, 4, 5 years. And I didn't feel like my worth was being seen through, So for me, it was like, well, what do I do? Do I stay here another 3, 4 years and figure maybe I'll get an opportunity to do something else, or to go to a managerial position? It's like, didn't really. And at the same time, it was like, I like training, I don't want to go into this managerial side. But now with the business, I'm kind of forced to do that.
You're doing it on your own time.
Yeah, and exactly. Yourself. That's kind of the nice thing. It's like, I'm not stuck to this. Hey, I need you here at da-da-da. It's like, I don't mind doing what I do nowadays. I love what I do. It doesn't feel like a mundane task to me anymore.
Do you see like those big stresses in your day-to-day life with this new job or this new company that you brought on?
I think currently, for sure now, given COVID, everything has kind of had to figure out how to pivot and move from there, getting people comfortable with coming in person. That's been the hardest part. Just COVID has slowed everything down.
Well, it's almost like with the lockdowns and everything, it's like, what are we going to do? Like, how is that going to affect your business? Have you guys done virtual kind of stuff?
So we've pivoted and do a little bit more virtual. We have some clients who prefer the online, which is totally fine. As long as you have access to a computer or phone or a tablet, you can do it from anywhere. So I think that's definitely been helpful in kind of keeping us busy and keeping people in and moving. And then it's another way to keep people accountable that aren't able to come into the facility at the time. Yeah.
Let's get into your life philosophy, man. It's one of my famous questions. What is your life philosophy?
I always tell people life is short. You only get one opportunity to kind of make your mark here. You really get one opportunity to do whatever you want, as long as you're willing to put in the effort and the work behind it. It's kind of crazy to think about, but you really can do anything you want if you are willing to work hard. And so if you want something, badly enough, figure out a way to go get it. Because you won't be here forever, Time is very, very limited on this earth. And I think understanding that is important. I like that quote that goes, every man has 2 lives, and the second begins the moment he realizes he has just one, So every man has 2 lives, and the second begins the moment he realizes he has just one, because, what would you do, if you're like, hey, tomorrow's over, this is done, it's like, you're going to just kind of continue to go along with the routine and the daily life and just kind of get by and go, or are you going to kind of, set out and do your own thing and, create a life you want to live,
It's like Gary Vaynerchuk. Do you listen to him?
Yeah, I like all those guys.
I like his best one that I like the most. He tells people, you're going to die.
That's true. It's very true.
And they're like, what? It's like either today, tomorrow, 30 years from now, whenever, like you're going to die. So what are you going to do about it?
Very true.
You're going to make yourself healthy. You're going to make yourself wealthy. You know, you're going to surround yourself with people who love you. You know, all these things. It's like there is a time limit on all this, you know, so you have to start.
I agree 100%.
What's your favorite quote?
I think that's kind of my favorite quote is that, you know, every man has two lives and the second begins the moment he realizes he has just one. I mean, that puts things into perspective of how short time is on earth, you know? I don't know where I heard that one. Probably, I'm sure, online somewhere or Reddit somewhere.
I like throwing all these quotes out there and I don't know where they came from.
Exactly.
They just come into my mind, but I don't remember who said them.
But they're good thoughts to think of,
Totally.
you know? Better than getting negative thoughts, you know, through your brain all day. You know?
I mean, I might have seen that quote on TikTok as I'm just scrolling through the night, you know? It's like, I don't know where it came from, but it sounded really good.
Yeah,
I'm going to live by it now.
Oh, that's funny.
Do you have a lot of free time in your day?
Free time at this point? Probably not really. I work, you know, 6 days a week. And probably I would say 7. It's just I have one day where I don't go into the gym physically. But for now, I mean, I'm consumed by work and business, which I don't mind because I like doing this. It doesn't feel like a stress to me. It's just it takes a lot of time and effort, you know. But it doesn't feel like it's ever squashing me or killing me. Maybe a little bit of pressure.
Yeah. Do you watch sports?
Yeah, I like football.
Still? So do you still sit down and are you still able to watch like a 3-hour football game?
I mean, here and there, maybe on a Sunday. But I'll catch like glimpses of it here and there. If it's my team, I really try to watch.
It's like I found throughout my life, when I was younger, I could watch a whole football game. And even through college, I would watch whole football games, whole hockey games. And as I got older and started businesses and stuff, that kind of free time just it's not that I didn't always have it, but it was just I couldn't sit there and focus on a game. Like sit there on a couch just watching a game. It's like every now and then, I think the Super Bowl would be like the one game that I actually sit and watch the entire time. But other than that, I don't have the brain capacity to sit down and watch that stuff anymore. It's like, man, that's a waste of time.
It's hard to sit down when you have things to do, for sure.
Right. That's a great quote.
You know, when you know you have things that need to get done, it's like, how do you sit still?
It's hard to sit down when there's things to do.
Yeah.
See, we should make t-shirts.
we like t-shirts.
You should just come out with all these t-shirts with all these quotes
Don't
and
want to
stuff on them.
throw it out there.
T-shirts. Yeah, even Yoda has, great quotes like do or do not, there is no try.
That's very true.
Like even from a young kid age, I was like, that sucks, but that's right.
That's very true.
It's totally relevant.
Either do it or you don't, right?
Yeah. Don't be a bastard child, I guess. That's a Star Wars thing.
Is that Star Wars quote? That's an interesting.
I'm a sci-fi freak, man. That's my one thing. I could sit and watch like sci-fi movies and waste my time doing that.
I like along those lines. Not really sci-fi though. I kind of like more like ancient alien stuff.
Oh.
So I don't know.
Stay tuned.
Doesn't mean I know a lot about it. I just like watching it.
Dude, that Greek guy with the hair, freaking love him. What's his name? Aliens.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I watch that stuff all the time.
That's too funny.
My family hates it.
Yeah, she hates it too.
I know. I never really talk about this stuff on air, but
me neither. I don't talk about it with anybody.
Yeah. Why? And it's like
it keeps me entertained, I think.
Right. It's so entertaining. It's great to think about all that kind of stuff because one of the things that comes to mind for me is it may not be aliens. It may have been human ingenuity, but where did that go? Yeah. Like if humans did that, what happened to reset us back to the Stone Age or even the Iron Age to where we couldn't do that? And even today, we can't replicate some of those monolithic structures, which you just told me you're going to Machu Picchu this week. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Mic drop. It's like, God, okay.
That's going to be amazing to see, for sure. Yeah, we head up there on, I believe, Tuesday, 31st. We're there for a few days, exploring the city. Hopefully check out Machu Picchu on a nice day.
But why specifically Machu Picchu?
I don't know. I think, honestly, that was in my history class, having that history book. I think there's that iconic photo of Machu Picchu in like every history book in school. And I think just seeing that picture and just seeing that alone, I was like, I got to see this in person.
There's like the monolithic structures in Peru on top of the mountains.
Yes. All the way up there at elevation.
Where there's like people don't live up there.
Oh, not anymore.
Not anymore, right? But even the locals over there are like, no, we didn't build that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
You have all this history from the Peruvians, and they don't even know how it was built. It was just there, And I think you look at some of those structures, and is there granite up there?
I have no idea.
Oh, come on.
I'm going there, and I barely know some of our airplane travels and when we leave in time. So I'm probably not the greatest person for this.
But even like the Native Hawaiian stories, like the Menehune, and building the big fish ponds and stuff like that in a single night. But then you look at it, it's like, oh, I mean, humans could build that stuff.
Yeah.
I can see that.
True.
But then you look at some of these monolithic structures, it's like, no.
How did this happen?
That's different.
Yeah. Makes your mind wonder for sure.
Right. And I'm, like I said before, it's like, I don't know if it was actually aliens, but it was definitely technology that we do not have today. Because they were able to melt granite and reform it into granite.
Pillars.
Like all the stones and stuff like that. Even I think in some of the pyramids and stuff, there's like staircases and stuff where that are melted.
That is ridiculous.
And a lot of the big stone structures, I think at Machu Picchu and some of the Puma Punku, where they're big, huge monolithic stones that have like little nubs sticking out of them. Have you seen those kind of pictures?
Mm-mm.
They have little nubs, and it looks like they were poured. It looks like there was liquid molten rock that was poured. The thing is, you can melt granite. Like we can melt granite, but when it cools, it's not granite. It turns into like obsidian and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, so how do they melt granite and then cool it to that it becomes granite again? It's like we can do that, but it takes like thousands. I think they said like it takes thousands of years, which is why nobody's done it anymore.
Interesting.
Because you can totally melt the stuff, but when it cools, it's not granite anymore. So it's like, okay, did they melt it and then cool it over like a long period of time? In that case, how the hell did they do that?
Yeah,
it's
that'll get your mind wondering if you think about those things.
Yeah, and then the government coming out with those, the UFO reports. You were telling me about that.
It never ends, right?
It's like, you're gonna sound crazy on the thing. It's like, no, we're not sounding crazy. The government came out with this stuff, man. The government came out with a report. Hey, there's UFOs. We don't know what they are. Yes, they exist.
That's not the information you want to hear, though.
No. I'd rather hear, yes, those are ours.
Maybe.
Right?
You would hope so.
That'd be great. Totally off topic.
That's too funny. I don't ever talk about that with anybody else. So all that ancient alien stuff.
Yeah. Me neither. I put it on TV and it's like I'm the only one watching it. That's fine. There's another one that my family hates that I love. The Curse of Oak Island. Those guys looking for the lost pirate treasure and stuff.
I've seen that one once.
But it's like they keep digging. They don't find anything.
They're never going to find it. The show's never going to end.
They have another season and they don't find anything. They find like these little things here and there. Which
the show will go on as long as it wants.
It's like, oh, you're killing me, guys. Like, you make me not want to watch anymore. Yeah. Like, freaking find something. Dig up the whole place and find something. No, they can't do it. It's like, oh, geez. What we got to do before winter sets in. It's like, frick, just mind-boggling. But that's how you get people connected, and that's how you get people to keep coming on to it, right? You keep showing up with all this new content. That's a great business model. You guys implement that kind of stuff with new content and new things to keep people motivated.
Yeah. So now a lot we do with like boxing, so we do a lot of boxing. When I say boxing, it's like boxing for fitness. We're not in there throwing on headgear and sparring. We're not sparring with our women and guys there, but yeah, it's just something different, keep people motivated. Honestly, I hate running. That's like the one thing I do not like doing. So if I can find any activity besides running, I will gladly do it.
I hate running. I was not made to be a runner.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it just, some people love it, some people don't. I mean, you just got to find what you like doing, That's the biggest thing at the end of the day, I think, is if you don't like doing it, you're not going to do it very long, Same thing applies with exercise, If you go in and you dread it, you're never going to want to stick with it, So got to make it fun, got to make it engaging. Difference always good. Yeah,
even boxing. It's like, because you're giving, I assume, like, you guys have a lot of female customers too?
Yeah. So I'd say probably that's honestly our biggest base. I think, I don't know why. I think it's just easier. Honestly, I think it's easier for women to put aside egos and come in and ask for help. It's harder for guys to ask for help and kind of put your ego down and say, I need help with this, So I think just, I don't know why it is, but we typically have more women in most of our groups for the most part. Yeah, and they're looking to do it. It's different. It's fun. For the boxing, we're hitting the bags. We might hit the mitts and do some stuff, but it's never super intense. We try to keep it fun, engaging, make people sweat, get a good workout, go home wanting to do it again. That's the main thing. We got to get people coming back over and over.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about that, like getting the repetitive customers to come back day after day. But one of the things I've seen, because I did CrossFit for a couple sessions, and it just blew my body to the point where I couldn't walk the next day. And they're like, just come back again. You got to keep coming back. I'm like, dude, no, like you don't understand. I can't. I'm an athlete, and that sucks.
Yeah, I feel you.
I understand you guys are great athletes and you're really fit, but I can't be destroying my body day in and day out. I got to go to work.
For sure.
Like,
that's true.
There was this one guy on Joe Rogan's podcast where he talked about he was a personal trainer. He's talking about when you're training, you should never train to the point where you're so sore that you don't want to come back the next day.
That's the biggest thing for sure. I mean, why that's most people associate soreness with a good workout, and that's kind of probably your last thing you want to use as a determining factor of how good a workout was. If you're just sore, it's not hard to make somebody sore. I'll give you a million different things and just not let you stop. You'll be sore probably, It's kind of, how much do you put in and get back in return? If you put just a little bit, and there's a point of law of diminishing returns. Probably econ doesn't really apply to this, but to some degree, you put in a certain point and you yield a certain return. If you put in too much, you get a negative return, So it's kind of finding that balance of what works for you, there's nothing against CrossFit. CrossFit is awesome. CrossFit is just very intense, and for most people looking to start exercise, they're looking for something maybe a little less intense, a little less, I wouldn't say extreme, but, something a little bit more focused for them and what they want to accomplish, It doesn't always have to seek exhaustion, to get a good workout and make progress. But it's different for everybody, Some people like CrossFit, some people don't. Some people like weightlifting, some people don't. It just depends on your preference, Yeah,
because one of the things I would see at the gym at work, you'd see some guys coming in and work out for 2 hours. Yeah. But they're only coming in 2 or 3 times a week. And they think they get that really long workout and they blast and they're all sweaty. They're doing weights and they're running and they're doing all kinds of stuff. And here I am going in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but I'm going in every day. Yeah. So if I go in 6 days a week, maybe not 6 days, maybe 5 days to be honest, but I'm going in for 30 minutes. I got 150 minutes.
True,
and these other guys, they probably have the same, but they're not doing the same kind of weightlifting.
Yeah, very true. And that you're looking at volume and intensity over the whole week, frequency. That's definitely something to look at, and that's important, because if you can train more frequently, more often, why wouldn't you want to improve every day, rather than once or twice a week, Most people that meet with us, they're meeting 3 times a week, and then hopefully, we try to give them stuff to do on the outside, but that's just light cardio days, stuff they can do simply on their own.
I hate cardio.
Yeah, everybody, right? That's why we box.
No, there's some people that love cardio. But what I tell them is hey, look at those guys that jog all the time. All they do is jog.
Exactly.
Do you want that body type? No. They blow over in the wind. Come on.
You want some strength behind it, right?
Yeah. So especially with law enforcement and military, it's all about what we call combat strength. If you can't pick up your buddy and run him 100 yards to the ambulance or whatever, you're not in shape. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, true. It's got to be functional, right? It's got to apply to you, Right. If you've got to run up 100 flight of stairs to do your job, you probably should be in shape for that, Just because you can do this fitness-wise doesn't always apply to everything else, So a lot of things we do, I'd say, I use this term loosely, but functional, It's things that you can mimic every day, stepping, bounding, squatting, twisting, pushing, pulling, simple things,
It's can you carry the groceries and lift up and close the hatch on the back of your car at the same time?
With your foot, right?
With your foot. Can you balance all that? Walk it to the car or walk it to the door and then open the door with your foot.
There you go. Yeah, but, just, it really depends for everybody. Everybody's different. It just kind of, we have to figure out what is your mix that keeps you coming back more and more, because at a certain point, if you do it too much, you're going to burn yourself out like anything. Right. So just kind of finding that right balance, I think, right balance of nutrition and the right balance of exercise, and we'd have pretty good health,
So is there a prototypical customer or pre-customer that is listening right now? Can you describe that person and when they should be calling you guys?
That's a great question. So I think, you know, if you are committing to this, you know, we are looking for people who are very serious about changing their life and their health and their fitness, you know, for the long term.
Shape.
Doesn't matter their shape. You can come to us skinny, fat, tall, wide, whatever you want, you know, as long as you're willing to work hard, you're open to being coachable, you know, we're here to help you. For our groups, I'd say, you know, our ultimate transformation challenges, we're definitely looking for people who are, you know, looking to change their mindset. You know, weight loss might be a goal for some of them. Improving nutrition might be a goal for some of them, you know. So it's hard to say what exactly everybody wants from it, because everybody wants something, you know, that's different. You know, some people are just don't care about weight and they just want to build confidence and feel better and, you know, have, I don't know, more confidence in general.
Yeah, you're not making bodybuilders out of everybody.
Yeah, you know, exactly. So we just try to give people, you know, mostly what they want and a little bit of what they need. That's the challenging part, is kind of just finding that right balance. Yeah, someone who's committed to, who's tried maybe a few things and is looking for something to make this work and stick for the long run. You know, I always tell people, when you come to us, you're not coming to us for 1 month, you know, you're committing to minimum 12 weeks. At that point, you know, you have some skin in the game, you know, it gets people moving, and then it gives them a realistic parameter to maybe see results. You know, if you only come in for 2 weeks, 3-4 weeks, you know, what are you really going to see in changes, you know? So it's definitely people who are more committed to, you know, long-term lifestyle changes, really.
Do you guys go out of your way to make sure people come to the classes that they've signed up for and have that accountability?
So we have like email setups, like auto recurring. That's like, hey, every, you know, blank this. But for the most part, everybody that commits to our schedule, you know, you're committing to a certain day and time of the week. So if you're coming in at Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m., you know, you're kind of committed to that. And then if you do, you know, if you can't make a certain time, you know, we have other hours where it's like, hey, you can drop in at this. But for the most part, it's kind of a set schedule. Mm-hmm. And then we always tell people, you know, if you can't make it to a certain time, give us a heads up, and we're more than happy to kind of help you move around and get in, regardless of if you can make that day and time, you know? So we always try to be flexible. I say that's the one thing we are. I'm really flexible with people, and understanding that people have work, jobs, things, kids come up, you know, last minute school projects come up, whatever it may be, you know? We're nice in the sense that we're a little bit more flexible, and we try to make sure that, hey, if you can't come in today, come in tomorrow and make it up, you know? So that's kind of part of the accountability, I'd say.
But where do you draw the line between someone that's, got work, got kids, got actual tangible reasons, versus someone who's just, I don't feel like coming in today? So
I don't think we get a lot of those clients, luckily, right? So we don't get a lot of clients who are like, I don't want to be here. You know, for the most part, I'd say that a lot of people we do have, you know, although they may not be everybody there for weight loss. And like I said, we have people who have been with us for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you know? Yes, I mean, you can only set so many weight loss and health and fitness goals. You know, at a certain point, then it's like, okay, I'm doing this to kind of keep my body healthy, keep myself in shape, keep my mental part accountable, you know, and go from there. So it just really depends. If you're coming to us with those in those programs, you know, we are holding you extremely accountable. You have weigh-ins every week if you have a weight loss goal. You know, food journals, hit or miss on some people. That's kind of one we have a kickback on. Nobody really likes writing down what they eat. But yeah, you know, there's certain things that we can, and then if it doesn't work for somebody, you know, tracking your food doesn't work this way, maybe we'll go and try this, you know? So
just tell them Instagram their food.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly, right? Hold it accountable. Post your photos every day. But I think just being more fluid and understanding that not everybody, like, we don't get everybody who's like hardcore fitness. You know what I mean? We get a lot of people who have never done anything like this before. So for us, it's kind of walking the line of being like, yes, caring, and we want to help, but at the same time, like, you gotta step up and come to the plate here. You know, I always tell people, we'll carry you over the shoulder, but I'm not going to drag you by the feet. Mm-hmm. Like, if it takes me that much effort to get you involved, you don't want to do this. Number one. Number two, I'm really not the greatest person to do that, because I'm not going to sit here and honestly babysit you and be like, hey, come in and do it. You know, you have to have that effort and that want to be there. So I think we've been lucky in the sense that a lot of the clients we do have, you know, are really committed to doing what they say, you know, in the end, you know. Yeah. So I mean, it's hard. Everybody's different. So
what is your end goal that you foresee happening with Elite Fitness Hawaii in the next 5-10 years?
I mean, realistically, I'd like to have maybe another 2 or 3 small spaces where we can kind of reach out and help more people. And then in the long run, I think the main thing I want to do is try to be able to offer health and fitness to everybody, you know, regardless of how much money you make every year, you know. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that looks like a nonprofit and this and that, but I know right now, you know, unfortunately, we have to make money to stay in business. We have to make money to do all these other things. But I think that's my number one goal is, you know, in the end is trying to make health and fitness access easy and affordable to everybody who wants it, right? Because not everybody wants it. I mean, can't force people to do this, you know. So I think that's...
Or can you?
Or can you?
Can you mandate to fitness?
Oh, that's it. I mean, hey, that'd be an interesting thing if we mandated health and fitness, you know?
Wow.
That'd
be awesome. I mean, you can't even do that in the police department. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, who knows now?
But anyways, any last words for the audience here?
If you have, you know, if you are looking to get started, you know, I think we're a great place to get started. You know, it's very easy to connect with us. The people who are with us make everyone feel welcome. You know, it's kind of, we've built this kind of community / ohana around what we've done. And it's kind of a tight knit community. You know, we don't have a lot of members with us. We don't have more than 50, you know, we don't have more than 40, I think, honestly, off the top of my head. So it's a very tight knit thing, you know, and it's nice, you know, when you have other women or men who are along the same journey as you, who are kind of pushing you and giving you that opportunity to kind of be successful and cheering you on. It's nice being around that kind of energy. You know, if you're trying to do this on your own and you've not been successful, maybe, you know, it's time to invest in yourself, and try to make this happen for yourself.
All right, man. It's been great. So thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing.
Appreciate you, man. I appreciate the time.
Wish you guys all the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And keep pushing for the Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce when you meet new business owners and stuff like that.
That's been a great opportunity. I mean, I've never had that experience in general, you know, so now kind of just diving into it and seeing what opportunities are available is definitely helpful. That's the hardest part, I think, is having access to resources to be able to do certain things, you know, whether it's money, financially, or even simple things like how to market your business, you know. It's definitely been a huge help. So we'll see, you know, what the future holds, but hopefully, I mean, I can kind of learn and keep growing with the chamber as well, and make an impact down the road.
Yep. All right. Iokepa, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And as always, stay happy, Hawaii.
Aloha.